Kapila Mehta, Vice President, Sustainability, Schneider Electric. Ms. Mehta have over 2 decades of experience and exposure to local and global environment. She also possesses diverse function experience ranging from manufacturing, quality, industrial sales, research and development, strategy marketing, and merger and integration, currently accountable to influence global business of power product of multi-billion euro by creating more sustainable options. And the topic in which she will be sharing her knowledge is Greenprint for a Sustainable Future, 3 Steps to Lead Sustainable Tomorrow. Over to you, Ms. Kapila.
Thank you so much, Ananya. Is it audible?
Yes, it's audible.
And the screen is, you can see the screen.
It's visible also.
Okay. Thank you for a great introduction, Ananya. And the topic itself is very, very interesting. It falls under how do we lead for a sustainable tomorrow. There are many questions which keep coming with the ecosystem changing around us. The people started to talk. People started to have more thought about it as and when we are having one after another COP climate actions, which is coming on table. While sustainability has a bigger aspect of it, and we did hear John talking about a lot more things which makes you impactful, we also have sustainability. In my session, we will talk about more on the net zero topic. So we will not talk about social and economical or governance topic, but more of a net zero topic and how it is a business opportunity for most of us and how we can make most of it while doing the business, making a business credible, as well as at the same time, how do we make sure that we save our planet? I'm Kapila, and I will be giving my contact at the end of the slides so we can connect again later. So moving to the next slide. It's coming from the recent COP27, which was held in Egypt, and the numbers are very recent. The WMO says that we are having all-time high emissions, which is recorded at 2021. At the same time, the temperature, the global average temperature, which is 1.15 degrees Celsius above the overall industry standard temperature at 1850 or 1900 century. Glaciers and ices are melting. We have sea level, which is getting risen up. So there are, and above all, the 2015 to 2022 was the eight warmest years on the record. That means we are at the critical junctions and rising CO2 level are warming our planet at alarming rate. The consequences are unthinkable. And if we need to know about a little bit of consequences, there are 39% more chances to have extreme weather condition. 550 million people might go hungry because of the impact on the crops. At the same time, 50% of the decrease in the availability of the fresh water. It's happening today, it's not for tomorrow, and hence many government and countries have started to take action. What we started to see from 2015 COP to now is government and businesses are started to make strong commitment for decarbonization. They are taking the net zero pledges. As we speak, 74 countries has already taken the net zero pledges. There are large number of companies, organizations are coming forward and making that pledges as well. And the surprising factor is it's not all the large companies. There are mid-sized companies also, which is part of this 3,000 number when we talk about, as we talk about today. And it's spread it across geography. So that means it's not one geography like Europe or North America, it is spread it across Asia, North America, and Europe geography. Which means that we are having changes, we are having regulations which would be coming in place as and when countries start to take the pledges. It starts to put you some regulation, it starts to put you incentive as well as penalty for following the right carbon practices. or not following the right carbon practices. In this aspect, what we see is whenever one large organization take a pledge that they will be going for net zero, it means that the ecosystem around it will be changing. That means the supplier, the customer, the partner whom they are doing business with, the channel, everything has to change. The ecosystem drives and dominic effect on the people who are signing for the net zero pledges. So it's coming more and more. Now, this is a perfect opportunity when we relook and reinvent the way we do business. And why so? There is a push for sustainability coming from all directions. There are investors who are pushing for the businesses to go for sustainability, because if you do not follow the right methodology, your business might go wipe off in coming days. It is similar to digitization wave. When digitization came and the company who could not follow the wave, they were not being able to cope up with the changing dynamics. At the same time, government regulations are pushing you to get towards the green economy. Your own employee would start asking you to be more ethical and more moral responsible companies and organizations. Going forward, the large companies, when they are going for net zero pledge, they have started to put a strong partner selection process to meet sustainability goals, which means that it will become a norm that you have to put your efforts to go towards that goals. Survival is critical. So we are not talking now about business transformation for tomorrow. We are talking about today, and we have to adapt today. Before we go on, what are the Greenprint, what we were talking about, and the 3 steps, how we go about it. The emission in as defined by GHG, the definition remains the same. Just to reinstate the message for the audience who are not familiar with the scope emission, whenever any organization does due to their direct operations, whatever CO2 they are emitting to the environment comes under scope 1, whatever is the direct emission. The indirect emission from your operations counts under scope 2. So scope 1 and 2, in my definition, it falls under your gate to gate. You have something coming in as a raw material and going out as a finished good. You are having scope 1 and 2 defined there. The scope 3 is a full value chain. That means the cradle to the grave. When the raw material is started, it reached to your plant for getting the process to finalize, coming as a finished good, and then going to the customer place through the logistic and transportation. After installation, it went into the use phase. And finally, when the product has completed its life, the normal life cycle, it comes for the end of life, and how responsibly any company is making the end of life defined and making the steps to achieve that right responsible end of life. So it's scope 3 is everything which engages full value chain, which is cradle to grave. Now, while we understand what is scope 1, 2, and 3, we also need to understand that different sectors are contributing to emission and almost at the same level. So transport, for example, transportation segment is globally, when we talk about, is 23%. Industry is approximately 33%. And building, we are talking about approximately 37%. And when I say building, it's mix of residential building and non-residential building. That means that across sector, we have opportunity to reduce CO2 and to create steps so that we can help our customer achieve the decarbonization also. Now, how do we do, what is the fastest route to go to the net zero? I tend to say, in addition to what we at Schneider Electric are telling to our partners and our customers, is the story is simple. You mix digital with electrification. And how do you do that is simple. Electric and digital is the recipe for more sustainable and resilient world. And how do you do it? Is electric will make you more green, and digital which makes the buildings or energy smart. While electric is making you most of the efficient energy, and it's a main part of decarbonization, that you are not dependent on fossil fuel based electricity of your input. Digital will make sure that what is not visible today is visible. You are able to monitor and are able to better efficiently manage your products. and your system effectively, so the losses, the wastage are lesser, and you are driving towards efficiency. This is very important aspect of it. And any organization who wants to take the first step towards that, we have to be mindful and open about this topic, that till the time we adopt electric and we do not open up ourselves for digitization, it doesn't get you the right recipe for sustainability and a resilient world. Now, when we talk about the blueprint and what all does come under the blueprint, at Schneider Electric, we believe, and after looking at the multi-large company, that for everyone, this integrated approach works. And these are the 3 steps we were talking about to achieve the right net zero target. The first step is strategizing. The second one remains digitized. And the third one is decarbonize. And as we go one step another, one after another, it becomes important to follow and have a vision with in front of a organization, that how do we want to do it. Today, many organizations and their customers are demanding and pushing for getting the decarbonized data. If we look into France regulations, RE 2020, which is in effect from July 2022, that says that any building and any project which is coming for the building segment has to submit their carbon data, environmental data. If we do not submit the environmental data, it's not possible to bid for the project. That means the regulations are making you compulsory to know your baseline, what is your CO2 emission as an organization for your product. And then you are able to give this information to your partner, customer. This is the first step. We strongly believe is whatever gets measured gets monitored. So if you are not able to measure what you are producing, it will be impossible to make any strategy around it. So hence the first step comes on strategizing. The 5 model of it is start with measuring your enterprise baseline. Where are you standing and what do you want to commit for? Scope 1 and 2 is the basic which we ask for any operations, because these emissions are coming from your own operations. As I explained, from gate to gate, scope 1 and 2. You at least have to start understanding what is your scope 1 and 2. And as you move forward, you have to start understanding what's coming in the value chain, where your suppliers are and where is your offer going and how it is going and getting used in the customer place. So very important is measure your enterprise baseline. After you have measured your baseline, under the umbrella of strategize, make sure you create your decarbonization roadmap. You can do by multiple ways. We have company like Schneider Electric has strong consultancy arm. We have tools which are available. Like that, many other organizations are having many tools. Make sure you work with the advisor and see that how you can create a decarbonization roadmap. So you know where you stand, you know where to go, and then you have a path to follow, for which you have to have a structurized program and governance. You have to treat it as a transformation, and you need to know that every step counts. So there could be time that for few topics, you might have the larger CapEx investment changes coming, but many countries are putting regulations and policies which are helping MSME sector to be benefited with that. So keep an eye on your localized subsidies, localized offers, which help you to go towards that direction. The one big impactful thing would be engage your ecosystem from starting. So when you started to make that action, make sure that you inform your supplier and your partner that you are going to change, you are going to do it. It's an ecosystem exchange and everything has to change. Another thing is communicate your commitment. And this is very basic. If you do not communicate your commitment, it remains with you, right? So start publicly talking about it. For example, in the organization I work for, scope 1 and 2 is normal. Any organization is committing for their net zero target. We have done as well. But at the same time, we also are committing our scope 3 target, and we would like to achieve it. And as a company who would like to pave the path for its partners, suppliers, we need to make sure that we lead the path for them. At the same time, The second steps becomes very important and critical is digitize. Once you have your roadmap clear, adopt digitization. The two things are, if you're not able to see where are the losses happening, you would not be able to capture them and you will not be able to remove them. For example, in a small building in your house, if the water leakage is happening, if you do not first know or monitor that leakage is happening somewhere, you cannot put a patch on it. It's as simple as that. So we need to know and we need to monitor the resource usage and emission. So if you know that for particular building on weekdays, how much I'm emitting, on weekend, how much I'm emitting, how can I do on the time basis, how can I manage my resources effectively, where I can save the emission as much as possible, would be your first step in digitization. Put the resources, put infrastructure which helps you digitize this topic. Many tools are available for that. Identify the saving opportunity. And it's simple example. If you are in an office building or at your home, and if you want to talk about it, first you need to know what's your electricity bill. Let's start with strategizing that. And then you know that what you want to reduce. Once you do it, you also have to start identifying what are your opportunities. Opportunity comes in terms of as I was telling, the time management, the load management. What are those opportunities which you could do without impacting your business? Then report and benchmark your progress. Digitization also helps you to benchmark your progress against the similar industries so that you know where you stand, and it also creates a differentiating factor for yourself from other organizations. The last piece and very important piece is decarbonization. To achieve decarbonization, we have three major pillars, and I explain the three major pillars in the next slide. First is replace the energy supply, electrify the process, reduce for efficiency and circularity. The first one, replace the energy supply, is from the supply side. We need to make sure that our electrifications are happening, which are making us go away from the fossil fuel. You would start to see, if it's not in your priority list, please keep an eye on your local regulations, which are evolving day-to-day basis. There would be more and more taxes which would come to use the supply which is coming from the fossil fuel versus more incentive which is coming from renewable. Look at opportunity for solar, wind, renewable, which helps you to get the most benefit of it. At least start strategizing that if this comes, how you would be starting to work towards in which direction. This is on supply side. While the supply side is very, very important, it is fast to achieve net zero. It's very important that we accelerate demand side of it. And when we say the demand side acceleration is electrifying the processes, we reduce for efficiency and circularity. The meaning of electrifying the processes is you distribute your energies. You have more and more supply chain decarbonization. This kind of topic is what you have to start taking for reduce for efficiency and circularity. Now, circularity is a very favorite topic of mine. It becomes essential for any organization now to look at how do you make sure that there is a circularity is evolving. Circularity can be aspect into 3.1, where we are talking about end of life offer, how responsibly we are disposing it off. There are extended product responsibility rules are applicable for many offers today, and batteries are one example where you have mandatory, OEM has to mandatory put a note how they are making sure that batteries are responsibly getting disposed of. And hence, when you see that on your, when you buy a new UPS battery at your home also, you get a discount when you replace it, when you exchange the battery. And it's coming because of the rules and regulations, and OEM are getting forced to do that. So please make sure that how you are doing this one and how you are defining your circularity in the picture. The second one is also the copper. There are finite elements which are going to become rare in coming days. How you are making sure that circularity could help you feed your upstream supplier node also. So your offer getting recycled, getting yield coming back to your supplier, and you are getting those raw material back as a circularity topic. I'm touching base on its circularity so much because what regulations we are seeing in Europe, even in coming in India, and international operations are coming a lot more towards circularity. They are focusing more on how does recyclability could play a role and how the repair refurbishment is important to improve the longer the life cycle of the product. With this 3-step, we are able to decarbonize ourselves. Just to give, as I was telling, that while we make sure that we commit and we commit openly, at Schneider Electric, our net zero commitment remains that by 2050, we will be net zero ready. And by 2030, we will be having absolute reduction of 25% in our scope 3 emission. And that's for our entire value chain. For our operations, we already would be carbon neutral by 2025, which is a scope 1 and 2. This becomes very, very important, again, to list down what is your commitment, by when you would be able to do it, and then backward actions which matches to your commitment. And there are many technologies available, which is not for tomorrow, which is for today, and you can take benefit of it. While I conclude my session, I would like to tell again the same thing, that digitization and electrification is the recipe for sustainability. While you continue to do so, make sure when you take the 3-step and make your Greenprint for your organization, start with strategize, adopt digitization, commit for decarbonization. With that, I complete my session. If any questions are there, happy to answer. I can be reached out on LinkedIn or over this QR code. Thank you so much. Ananya, I think you are on mute.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I was on mute. So my question is, how do you define impact company?
Yeah, so the impact company comes from the various angle of it. And as I was telling that we covered today only for the net zero, we believe that the impact comes from all the aspect of it. When you take the ESG into the picture, so which means that you are doing something to improve your local community. Just to give you an example, for Schneider Electric, we make sure that we have localized operations. We have supporting the local exchange while the company is global, but we are making sure that the operations remains the local. So this is how you support the local community. How you are making the governance or social impact coming on the thing is also becomes one and another leaf of it. So at Schneider Electric, we follow the 6 steps and make ourselves an impact company, and it remains the same. When you start thinking beyond pay equality, inclusivity, and having the diversity, everything counts. So you make a better place, a planet, a better place to work with, and then you become an impact company.
Thank you. And my next question is, how do you differentiate ESG and SDG as a global leader?
Okay, very good question. Actually, very much related. So while SDGs touches upon, so ESG is a framework for me, and to achieve that overarching framework, you have defined some SDGs, sustainability development goals, which helps you to achieve it. Today we have 17. For example, let's talk about the better quality education, no hunger, zero poverty, those kind of topics. If we talk, we can connect it with the community. We can talk about how the social impactful environment we should create. Both of them goes hand in hand. SDG helps us more in the definite goals which we have target, and towards the target it helps us to achieve. Remains the same. If you put a target, you have something to achieve it. ESG is a very broader aspect of it.
And my next question would be, you have emphasized more on circular economy. Would request you to highlight little more on it.
Sure. So when we talk about circularity, so today the conventional supply chain works is you produce, you sell it to the customer does their own pace, they do the end of life of the offer, right? What circularity enable is, it doesn't let a supplier or OEM wash off its hand and become responsible for the complete of the operations. So that means we are talking about supply chain, which is not conventional, which is not linear, but a new methodology which goes from customer to back to the supplier. Why it is required? For three major reasons. One, it can give you benefit of responsibly doing the end of life. While you are doing it, you can actually recycle the offer. And today, if you reach out or read about the businesses which are coming from recyclability, it's huge. The acceptance of the recycled materials is becoming heavier and heavier. I was having a discussion with last month with one of the biggest recycler in India. And they say that customers are actually in Europe ready to pay premium for the recycled material because it's coming from a recycled process. And it's becoming also a regulations where the regulations are asking for mandatory having X percentage of your overall project. You should have some recycled material coming in. And just to add on for that example, and what we are doing in our organization and what we are driving is we are making sure that by 2025, 100% of our packaging will be green packaging. It's having the recycled material, no single-use plastic. And by 2025, we are also trying to achieve 50% of green material. So this kind of target, when we start to talk about, it becomes very important that we start pushing for recyclability. This is one. The second one is we see a lot many times that the availability because of shortages and everything is becoming a challenge. It was becoming a global crisis a few days back. Circularity can answer there also. There are few offers which has never seen the light because they were sitting in the dead stock of a distributor place. How about picking it up the offer and enabling the reverse logistic, not for recycling, but for reselling and repairability? Do we have market in the, and we have to have both sides this thing. We have to have supply enabled as well as we have to sensitize the demand side of it also. The more and more companies should be opting for circularity, and they will have to opt one day because of the regulations which is coming into place. So my favorite topic, circularity, and we can spend more time there.
Okay, the next question is, how are you planning to decarbonize value chain? Share few initiatives.
Okay, so decarbonizing value chain, when I say we are going beyond gate to gate and we are now going to cradle to grave, which means that how we are decarbonizing our supplier and how we are making our partner value chain also coming on the decarbonization activity. So one on the supplier side of it, which is not related to our gate to gate entry, the two targets which I told you on green packaging and green material are helping us to do that. So our packaging is greener, it's simplified, it takes the lesser space, and we are exploring the ways that how do we reduce the packaging also. But the two targets which we make sure that by 2025 we have 100% green packaging will help us to do this one on the supply side of it. On supply side of it, as a big organization, we have also taken a pledge to decarbonize our 1,000 suppliers, making them net zero pledge. So how do we do it? We have identified those suppliers. We are, as I was telling, that partner selection process will become more and more stronger, right? We are working with our partners and suppliers to make sure that before it becomes very much norm, they are joining hands with us and their full value chain is also getting decarbonized. So we are starting with baseline measurement for them, how they can decarbonize. We are their partner in this journey. And that's how we are able to do this value chain overall on the scope 3 emissions.
Thank you so much for your answers and presentation. Thank you.